All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah!
All right, well, cool. How are you all doing today?
Yeah!
Great, no, good to know, because it's your second day in university and you should all be doing good. We're juniors and seniors, and trust me, we're dead. We have no emotions, we don't feel anything, we're robots. Cool, well, welcome. This is CS196, Fall 2018. We're excited to have you here. This is to introduce you.
Hi, I'm Allegra. I'm a senior, and I've been working on this class for 5 semesters, so I've been here quite a while. So I'm one of the instructors. Vivek is the other.
Yeah, I'm Vivek, instructor. I've also been on course staff for like 4 semesters. Junior in computer science and linguistics. Dead on the side. All right, as a quick show of hands, how many of you are here from CS125? All right, stuff. 126? I went and pitched 126 and nobody showed up. All right, that's fine. ECE classes. Woo! Yeah, pretty good. Well, awesome. Let's do something different. Raise your hands if you're a freshman. Pretty much all of you. Cool. Well, welcome. Raise your hands if you live in the 6-pack. ISR. FAR, the place no one wants to go. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, the final one, raise your hands if you are happy now. Nerds. Okay, alright. Well, I have good news to share. It is that this class really doesn't care about your background. We'll start from the very beginning and kind of help you guys both master Python and kind of realize your dreams. So these are pretty difficult things, but we kind of want to, the big goal here is that we want to build things, and I guess the big problem with building things is that it needs time, it needs effort, it needs motivation, and I'm sure as a college student you're not going to have any of those. And so, the goal of this class is to make that possible while also keeping you sane and healthy. Kind of, I guess the way we help you do that is by the way of projects. And so I will kind of, as an example, let's look at the circle. So this is a circle that kind of shows everything that you want to achieve. These are all of your goals, your dreams, your These are all the things that university in 4 years will teach you how to do. And then these are the things that CS196 will teach you how to do. So what we'll do is we'll do a very small portion of everything that you want to do, but we'll do it in a way such that it starts growing. And by way of example, there's a very famous quote from the movie Inception. And kind of the question is, now bonus points for whoever answers this. What is the most resilient parasite? All right, go for it. Yeah. Absolutely. So that small thing. Yeah, pick me after class. You're good. All right. So yeah, the small little thing that we kind of help you build is the idea. And, in this class, it'll grow and kind of grow even more until it does that, and then it grows even more and it becomes a black screen, which is something like that. We believe that you will kind of pick up more knowledge faster when you're more interested in learning, invested in that learning. That is what we're here to help you do, kind of by way of the project. So we call it semester-long projects, and you'll start working on these sometime around week 3. And how they'll work is, you'll have weekly meetings with your project managers. Will be one of 40 course staff, which are here today. You'll hear from a few of them in a while. We'll have hackathons, we'll have panel presentations, which will be like a science fair style, demos where you can show off all the work that you've done. And so the team that you form will kind of like mirror what would happen in like a big tech company. So the core staff, most of these guys have worked at places like Facebook and Google, and they understand how things are done. Our goal is to kind of give you guys some part of that knowledge in that exercise. Cool. So I'm going to hand it off to Allegra, who's going to tell you a bit more about the tools that will help you with that.
Okay, so one big component of the class is micro lessons. So if you were in one of the classes that we advertised to, you probably already heard about this, but what micro lessons are short lectures about a specific CS topic. So if you've coded before, if you haven't coded before, if you just read the news, you probably see a lot of like hot buzzwords concerning CS things, right? So everyone's heard AI, big data, all of these things these terms that get thrown around. But it's hard to know what they're actually about or how you actually go about building the technology behind them if you don't have any experience with them. So you might be like intrigued by a topic, but you don't exactly know how to get started. So that's where micro lessons come in. So we have guest speakers come in. There are students like you, just older. So we have sophomores, juniors, seniors come in and talk about subjects that they have experience with. So some of these topics cover things you probably heard about. So we have virtual reality, AI and algorithms, game design, dynamic programming, data science, hardware, Linux, front end, and then sometimes we just throw in ones for fun. So I was looking back at past classes and we had a micro lecture about coffee. So it's just sort of a mix of technical stuff and we'll throw in a few fun things. And you can see there's way, way more. So there's a ton, and we want to cover a broad variety of topics. So anything you guys are interested in, we give you the choice. So we'll release a survey later on that'll let you pick topics you want to hear about, and we'll find people to actually give those. So can I pick on somebody? Just give me something you want to hear about. What would you like to learn about? Yeah.
VR.
Yeah, and that was one of them. So we're definitely going to do that.
Quantum computation.
Yeah, that's another excellent one. So these are really fascinating topics, and I mean, I don't know in depth about them. I do about VR, but quantum stuff, most of us don't. So that's why we're going to give you more exposure to these, and it's going to be in a very interactive and exciting way. So it's not just you sit there and you're lecturing, you absorb material. It's going to be really fun. Okay, so in addition to micro lessons, we have something called Hackerspaces, and this is where you really get a deeper dive into a particular topic. So let's say we have a micro lecture about web development, and you just think this is really awesome, this is really cool, and this is something I want to learn about. We're going to put you into 3 different Hackerspaces, and so Hackerspaces meet once a week, and they're taught by students, and they cover more in-depth topics. So we're having 3 this semester. There'll be data science, web development, and mobile development. So in those, you can learn skills that you can use on your projects, but also use on other things you want to work on by yourself. And it's very in-depth, and you get more time with people who can actually help you answer your questions. It's really exciting. And so I wish this had been around when I took the class because people really learn a lot, especially people come out and they say, yeah, this really helped me learn about this, and I can go on and do work on my own with this. So they're really fun, exciting. It's not an extra commitment besides just going to them. So there isn't any homework, there's no exams, they're just an extra thing that helps you learn. Okay, so now we're going to have the 3 Hackerspace leads come up and talk about what their Hackerspace is like. So Duke, if you want to come up first.
Hello everyone, my name is Duke, and Sahil and I will be leading the Data Hackerspace this semester. So this Hackerspace will be an experience where you'll learn more about both data science and data engineering. Data science is more of the mathy side of things. It's taking a set of data, drawing inferences about it. This includes everything from analytics to big data to AI, machine learning, all those buzzwords. So that's a great opportunity to learn more if you're interested in the mathy side of computation. Data engineering is more for those engineers in the room. This is stuff like building databases, how compute actually gets done at large companies. You'll learn about both old paradigms and newer ones. We'll be talking about things like Hadoop, Spark, Kubernetes, a lot of things that you're going to use in industry. So if you're interested in any of these, sign up for Data Hackerspace.
Okay, next, can we have Aria come up?
Hey, I'm Arya, so I'll be leading the Web Hackerspace along with Alpri. And so the Web Hackerspace basically takes you through all stages of web development, both front end and back end. So it's not only just how do I take my information and show it on a page, but how do I hook this up to my back end? How do I talk to a database? How do I get information to the user as quickly as possible? And so we start off assuming that like, hey, we'll take you from knowing nothing, and by the end of the semester, you'll be able to make your own websites and understand. It'll help you a lot with your projects and just building the features that you want to build.
Okay, and next we have Zach, who's running mobile development.
Hello. So in mobile development, we'll start from installing Android Studio, getting it up and running. It can take longer than you think. Hooking up your phone to it if necessary, and then we will start with the basics of just getting an app up and running, or some text on the screen, get a few buttons, and we'll eventually get to where we're doing full-on UI design, choosing your layouts, accessing a database, and using the internet to grab data and show it to your users, using that database to keep data persistent as the user accesses your app at different times. It'll just give you a really wide tool set to make whatever happens.
Okay, so this is your chance to work with really smart people. All three of them are super smart and they know a ton about these topics. So this class is a great opportunity to get some hands-on work with this and then be able to go on and actually work on other projects. Okay, so the next component of the class, as with many other classes, unfortunately, we have to give a midterm. So this is not the cue to go fleeing the lecture hall. It's actually not that bad. It's basically going to be a 2-hour exam in the CBTF. Does anyone actually know what the CBTF is right now? A few of you. Okay. When I was a freshman, I was like, well, what is this? So yeah, it's going to be in the CBTF, and it is going to be based on the homework that you do and the lecture material we cover on Python. So the point with this is not to make you anxious or to have you freak out and go crazy. The point of this exam is just to evaluate how much you've actually learned and if you're actually paying attention. So if you do the homework consistently and if you actually show up to class, this should not be a huge problem. So the format right now will be half coding questions and half multiple choice, but these are definitely tailored to your skill level and what we've covered in class, so nothing to worry about. All right. In addition to that, so that was the scariest stuff, this is the fun stuff. We will have at least 2 hackathons this semester. So they're mini hackathons, usually around 3 hours, and you don't have to stay the whole time. It's just, come and go as you like. But they are a chance to meet with your PM and team. So in the past, we've done some really fun stuff. Last semester, we had a VR demo. So we took kids up to the VR lab, got to try it out, they got to play a bunch of games, and it was a really fun time. And in addition to that, you get food, and importantly, what the point of this is supposed to be is time to work on your project. So we're definitely going to have a lot of fun stuff, but you will get a chance to work on your project with your PM and your team. It's a great chance to just get a lot of work done. We'll have one right after we assign your projects. So you'll be able to sit down and plan your timeline, what your idea is, and elaborate on all of that. So it's a really, really fun time. We've been doing these every year, and it's always really fun. So we'll have t-shirts for you guys. Hopefully we'll have stickers too, we'll have a ton of stuff. So just make sure you come out to this, and it'll probably be on a Thursday night, but we'll give you more information on that later. Okay, so let's see a show of hands. Who, or not a show of hands, somebody just raise their hand. Tell me why you applied here.
Jeff told me to.
Okay, anybody else?
Warren.
Yes, that is very important, yeah.
It's a top engineering school.
Yeah, great. So it's a top engineering school in the world. The CS department is one of the top CS departments, yeah.
I'm currently a high school student, and I really like I tried out CS 135 last semester.
Oh, I thought you meant apply to the class. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
that's okay. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So this is a really good CS school, yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And that's actually what I was just going to talk about. So there's two things, right? This is an amazing CS school. It's one of the best CS schools in the world. So you're really lucky to be here. I'm sure all of you worked really hard to get where you are now. And I hate to tell you, there's a lot more work to go. But it is really fun. So you'll get to take amazing classes. You'll learn so much, and you'll be able to take that work and actually, use it when you have internships and you actually go out and work. So, yeah, UIUC is really impressive. I know that when I worked, I was at Microsoft for the last 2 summers, and I noticed a difference. I think that I know how to do things better than some other people I met. I think that there's a sense of professionalism and being self-dependent that you get here that you don't get at other schools. So that is very important. The other thing, what's your name? Verena? Okay, like she just mentioned, there's also a really good environment here. So you might have looked when you were applying at the top schools, and you're looking at Carnegie Mellon and MIT and stuff like that, and those are amazing schools, right? But one thing that's been noted about here, and I definitely agree with, is the fact that there's a great community. So you have organizations like ACM, WCS, all of the things, this class, where you have students working together to provide for other students. So we're trying to make a good environment for you, trying to give you learning opportunities and career opportunities, things like that. So if you join ACM, you can work on projects, you get involved with the department. It's a lot of fun. So people support each other here. When you apply for jobs in the future, once you get to be a junior or a senior, you usually probably have someone refer you because people are friendly and it's not super competitive. It's about helping each other. So this is a really awesome place to be. I've loved being here. I transferred into CS, but I wanted to because everyone was so nice, and I helped with this class, and I realized that people are awesome in CS, so you're in the right place. Okay, so does anybody recognize any of these companies? Raise your hand if you recognize at least one of these logos. All right. Does anybody not recognize any of these logos? Okay, I was gonna say you've been living under a rock or something, but okay. So you see some of these names and these companies, and these are all people who went to UIUC and then went on to create these. So it's pretty impressive if you look at this. I actually, when I was putting this presentation together, I didn't know some of these, and it just reinforces the fact that this is just an incredible place to be, and that the people who sat where you're sitting, they went on to do amazing things. So PayPal, YouTube, all these crazy things, that millions of people use. They were, the person who was sitting in your seat, they made that. They were a freshman once, and they went on to actually do this. So the point that this drives home is that, you're a freshman right now, maybe you don't know a ton, maybe you do, maybe you have a ton of experience coding, but this is what you can do. You can be amazing. You are amazing, and you can go on to do even more amazing things. So that's what you need to keep in mind. And so you can see more here. You have Oracle, Safari, Firefox, Tesla, all of these things were created by people who, went through the same program that you're about to go through, which is really incredible. All right, so we've been talking for quite a while. What you need to do now is do as this cat, but don't lay down. Stand up and just, stretch. Don't be shy. I'm gonna call you out if you're sitting down.
Look around and see that.
that, do it now, then we'll continue in a couple minutes. Okay, so we're gonna get started again. I hope you had, okay, can everybody quiet down? Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get started again. I hope you had a nice stretch. And I'm gonna hand it off to Vivek to explain more about the next couple of weeks.
All right. Hopefully she didn't bore you too much with all the stuff. But I will also, so let's I guess talk a little bit about the next few weeks. What actually happens before you kind of have your first meeting with your PMs and actually start working on your projects. So, all right. So week one, which is this week, we will have actually micro lesson on kind of design thinking and ideas and how to come up with a good product pitch for that big idea that you have. And then next week is when things will pick up, and we'll do one micro lesson on internships and how to build your resume, how to apply for get an interview with a freshman, all that good stuff. We'll also teach you the basics of Hackathon and Git, so you can kind of get those skills ready, which you will need for when you start your projects. And then you'll also be put into your hackerspaces. So sometime this week we'll send out a form that's pick your choice. And, if all goes well, we all get that space that we want. And then, so that will happen this week. And then week 3 we'll do project pitches, which is where you guys will actually come down and convince your friends to join your group by selling your product and telling them that they'll have $1 billion of good. And we'll also have the first hackathon that weekend, called Flight 196, more about that later, and then of course we'll have hackathons, and then eventually you'll have your weekly PM meetings with your PM, the project manager, and keep working on your project. But with that, I want to hand it over to Satvik, who will tell you a bit more about ideas and how to actually think about it.
Hey, my name is Satvik. I'm a sophomore majoring in CS. And today we're going to talk a little bit about pitching. And the reason we're doing this is, like Vivek and like I mentioned earlier, this class is about this project that you're going to be working on. And these aren't projects that we randomly assign you into, or like just put a sorting hat on your head and then say you're going to project A or you're going to project B. These are student-initiated projects. These are projects that you guys want to work on. And so to get there, we're going to have to work on pitching our ideas and coming up with these project ideas. How many of you know what an elevator pitch is? Does anybody want to answer? Yell it out if you want to.
It's a short pitch that you would give in an elevator. It's like that short.
Right. That's pretty close. So the situation that you're supposed to imagine is you're stuck in an elevator with an investor and you're trying to sell them your idea. And this isn't just limited to like an investor stuck in an elevator. It's just, can you sort of distill your idea down into like the simplest form and then sell that to people? Can you convince somebody of your idea just using that? And we're going to learn about pitching today just a little bit, go over some ways to pitch, and yeah. So why should you be pitching, right? Why should you be pitching instead of just waiting for somebody else to pitch and then try to join their team? Here's why. If you pitch an idea, you're almost guaranteed to get a chance to work on the project of your choice. If you don't pitch, you're going to end up in a random project. It's literally just going to be like a sorting hat, right? If you don't want to be put into a random project, I would suggest that you pitch your idea, pitch what you want to work on. That way, you get to spend the semester working on something that you're interested in. You get to build skills that will help you build cool things that you're really interested in. It helps you grow that black circle that Vivek was talking about. And the second reason you should be pitching is a really cool thing to do. It's really frightening when you do it, but it's amazing when you're done with it because you get to sell your idea and your vision to other people, which is a really amazing feeling. To have people believe in what you believe in, to have people work towards what you want to work on, it's an amazing feeling. And so I strongly recommend all of you try to pitch when we open for pitches. Now, to be able to pitch, you need an idea, right? A pitch is centered around an idea. It's about selling this idea or selling this vision. Now, some of you may already know what you want to work on and have the rest of your life planned out and know exactly what you want to be doing. Others might have sort of a clue about what sort of things they want to be working on or what areas they want to be working in. Now, others, like me, you might have no clue about what you want to work on ever, at all. And what we're going to do is we're going to help you come up with an idea of your own to work on. Help you find something that you're interested in. And help you come up with an idea that you could potentially work on, whether it's in this class or in the future or anywhere. Now, a simple way to work on, a simple way to come up with ideas to work on is something called design thinking. How many of you know what design thinking is? We have a show of hands? So a few of you, right? So I'm just going to quickly go over what design thinking is before we go into trying to understand some of the nuances. So design thinking is a human-centric way of trying to solve problems, right? And I say human-centric because design thinking really caters to solving problems that are faced by humans on a daily basis, right? Design is really important to come up with solutions to problems and try to solve these big problems and to innovate. And design thinking is a process that helps us do this. Now, it has 5 steps. The first one is empathize, the second one is define, there's ideate, prototype, and test. So empathize, like the name says, it's about empathy, right? It's about trying to put yourself in the place of somebody else, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and try to understand what they're going through. This is important because it brings the aspect of the human into the design process. It helps you understand somebody else's needs, and this step really allows us to bring together human needs and technological innovation, right? And this is how the first step is the most important step in this process. The second step is define. Defining a problem is a lot harder than you think it is. I'm actually going to correct myself. It's defining the right problem. If you look at any area, let's say you look at how a doctor works on a day-to-day basis, right? A doctor might be facing a lot of problems in their day-to-day basis of how they work, how they interact with patients, or just how they go about their day, right? But finding the right problem and defining that problem well is really crucial towards the process of design thinking. Now, this entire process might seem linear, but it's not. Many parts of this process are actually circular and feed back into this loop, and a lot of these processes are iterative. But the second step is ideate. Ideate is really where you come up with your ideas, right? It's where you do things like, you brainstorm. How many of you know what brainstorming is? Can somebody yell out what brainstorming is? Like, what comes to your mind when you think of brainstorming?
Think of everything.
I'm sorry?
You think of like all the possible ideas.
You think of all the possible ideas. So here's a good way to brainstorm. Here's what I do. I set a limit for myself. I say, I'm going to think about this problem for the next 60 seconds. But in those 60 seconds, I essentially try to create a storm of ideas. So take a whiteboard, right? If you're working as a team, have 3 or 4 people, say, we're going to try to solve this problem. We're going to try to answer this question in the next 60 seconds. We're going to try to come up with as many answers as possible. Take a bunch of sticky notes, just fill them up and start sticking them on this board. This is really important because number 1, you look really legit doing this, right? Number 2, you come up with a whole lot of ideas, right? You come up with so many ideas that you couldn't think of earlier because you were mulling for too long on one specific idea or looking too far in the future. But by brainstorming in a limited amount of time, you're forcing yourself to come up with a lot of ideas that might have just been hidden in some corner of your brain. And this is really important. The process of brainstorming helps you and your team understand or sort of come up with a notion of what you want your idea to look like, or what you want your solution to look like. Now, the second process is, or the second way of doing this, or ideating, is coming up with the worst possible idea. Now, why would you want to come up with bad ideas? It's really simple. Just as brainstorming helps you figure out what you want your solution to look like, coming up with the worst possible ideas helps you figure out what you don't want your solution to look like, or what you don't want your product, or what you don't want your idea to look like. And do the same thing. Give yourself 60 seconds, or give yourself a couple of minutes. Get a lot of sticky notes. Hand out markers. Have your team there, and say, let's come up with the dumbest things we can come up with, right? What's the worst way to solve this problem? If your problem was sending somebody to class on time, the worst possible idea could be strapping a rocket to their backpack. I don't know. Come up with the worst things possible, things that will never work. And how these processes will help is you come up with a bunch of ideas. Ideas of things that you want to be doing, things that you want it to look like, and things that you don't want it to do. Things that you don't want it to be doing, things that you don't want it to be looking like. And when you sit down after these couple of minutes and actually analyze these ideas, you start to see trends in what you want to be doing. You'll see bigger pictures, you'll see bigger ideas form out of these small things. And that's a good place to start ideating. After ideating, the next step is prototyping. In this class, you're going to be prototyping, you're hopefully going to be prototyping throughout the semester and building stuff whenever you get free time and start coding. But mostly you'll be prototyping during the hackathons and during flight. We'll be talking about flight a little bit later, but hackathons are really important because, again, you're going to have a small amount of time, right? You're going to have 3 hours or 4 hours, and you and your team are going to be sitting together trying to solve some crucial problems that will help build your product, things that are in the way. And the short amount of time and a lot of focused energy is really going to help you solve big problems and help you come up with cool ideas. It's going to help you act on these ideas that you had and build stuff. Now the last step is testing. testing is an iterative process. It's not something that happens at the end. It's something that should constantly be on the back of your mind. Now, why test? You've defined a problem, you've come up with ideas to solve this, and you've started building things that could help solve this problem. Testing is really important because it helps you figure out if you're actually sticking to what you wanted to do, right? If you set out to solve a specific kind of problem or address a specific need, testing helps you figure out if you're heading in the right direction. And by testing, I don't just literally mean like testing your code. Also just testing like, if what you're building is headed in the right direction, is this the direction that you want your project or your product or your idea to be taking? And it's iterative because it helps you, by doing this over and over again, it helps you figure out if you're trying to solve the wrong problem. If you're trying to solve it using the wrong idea. If your prototype doesn't stick to the idea, it helps you question everything that you've been doing. That helps you improve the process. It gives you feedback for essentially fixing your product and just improving your idea, and it'll be a lot of fun. And the last way to test this is at the final project fair that's going to happen at the end of the semester. It's going to be a great test where your other classmates who are working on other projects can come and look at what you're doing. Just other students from the university can come and look at what you're building, and they can give you feedback on whether they think this could help solve the problem that you want it to. Now, you have an idea, right? Let's say you've sat down with your team, or you're doing this alone. You identified somebody whose problem you want to help solve. You've identified a problem, and then you start ideating, and you have some idea of what you want to do. You found your idea, right? Now, how do you present this idea? Having an idea is cool and everything, but if you actually want to be working on this idea, you need a team. And to have a team, you need to be able to sell this idea to your team. That's very important. So what you're going to do is you're going to build a pitch. So how many of you have seen pitches before? How many of you have watched things like, how many of you have watched Shark Tank? A lot of you. How many of you watched Silicon Valley on HBO? So what are these about, right? Shark Tank is essentially about people pitching their ideas or pitching their business to get investment in it. Silicon Valley, you see a lot of people like pitching ideas every once in a while, trying to get VCs interested. What is a pitch? Does anybody know what, or I'm going to correct myself. Does anybody know what actually goes into a pitch? What should a pitch have? You can just yell out things.
Should have a goal. Should have
Should
a product.
Okay. Anybody else?
Precise specifications for exactly what the end conditions are.
Interesting. Okay.
Budget.
A budget. Okay.
Where you like to start.
Okay. Okay.
The problem that it's trying to solve.
Right. So
Shortcomings.
shortcomings. Right. So a pitch is supposed to have a lot of things. There are many different kinds of pitches. Did you want to?
Punchline.
I'm sorry.
A punchline.
A punchline. Very important. We'll talk about that later. A pitch it has a lot of things put together. We'll go over a few of them, and then we'll talk about why it should have these things. Things that you should include in your pitch. Number one, the problem that you're trying to solve, right? There's no point of having a pitch that just talks about a solution if you're not talking about the problem that you're trying to address with this. There's no point in trying to pitch shoes that can let you walk on water if you don't. I mean, that's a really cool thing to sell. I would buy them. But there's no reason to pitch this without talking about the problem, right? People don't like getting their shoes wet. Some people just want to walk on water. It's a problem for some people. It's a thing. There's no point of bringing up a solution if you don't actually have a problem to talk about, right? The first thing your pitch should have is a problem. What's the problem area? What is the pain point that you're trying to come up with a solution for? Another thing is there's an infinite number of problems out there to solve, right? For example, there's 8 a.m. That's a problem, right? Why should people be working on it? That's an important question to answer as well. So along with your problem, you should be talking about why your problem is the one that people should be working on. Because there's an infinite number of problems out there, but only so many amount of hours that people can put in to solve these problems. So you've got to come up with why your problem is important to solve. Next, you should have some idea of the solution. I remember one of you said that you should have like an exact specification of what you want to be doing. I don't think that's important. I think you should have some idea of how you want to solve this problem, but you should generally keep it. You should generally have an open-ended solution, and I'll talk about why later. And then the potential challenges, right? You shouldn't be exaggerating what your solution is, or how big the problem is, or just this entire idea, or what is going on. You should be talking about the potential challenges, because that also gets people really interested. People want to work with you because they want to work on solving problems. Nobody wants to work on something that's already perfect and something that is just ready to go. You should talk about the potential challenges, the shortcomings, that helps people get inspired to work on this, or it'll make them run away. Either way, it's really important to have. The last thing you should probably include in your pitch is your skills. Why your skills? Because if you're pitching this project, you want to be a part of this team, right? You want to be working on this. So other people who want to join this team should know what skills you have and how they can learn from you. And they'll be able to tell you what skills they have and how they can contribute towards your project and how they can help this grow. Now, what should you not include in your pitch? Any ideas? What should a pitch not have? Huge flaws. Flaws are something that are related to the idea itself, right? But what are things that you should include in your pitch? No matter what your idea is like, what are things that you shouldn't talk about in your
Fully
pitch?
detailed, single-minded solution that there is no escaping because it must happen.
Okay. Anything else that shouldn't be on your pitch?
Over technical details which bore people.
Right. You don't want to bore people, right? Your pitch is supposed to get people interested in your idea, excited about working with you. The last thing you want is a lot of technical details that bore people. Now, don't get me wrong. I think technical details are important. Technical specifications are important. What you should avoid is jargon, right? You should avoid big words that people aren't going to understand or don't care enough to listen to. You should include some technical details because at the end of the day, you're CS majors. You're working on a project that's going to use some kind of programming. It's going to use some kind of technical skills. So you should be talking about some things that are technical, but you should try to limit the amount of jargon that you use. You should try to keep your pitch open and accessible to anybody that wants to work on it. Another thing that your pitch shouldn't include is buzzwords. Here's why. When you talk about using big data on your project, it probably just means data. It probably just means you're going through emails. I will be very honest. My project, we pitched it as something that would use big data and artificial intelligence, machine learning to end spam emails and just disrupt the way emails work. We were just sorting through emails, right? Try to avoid buzzwords. Here's another reason you should try to avoid buzzwords. You can talk about all the really cool libraries that you're using, or all the really cool technologies that you're using, but if nobody knows what you're talking about, it doesn't help your cause. Try to keep it simple. Try to make it accessible to other people. And a good way to do this is avoid jargon, avoid buzzwords. All it's going to do is make you sound really cool, but nobody's going to get what you're talking about, and it's not going to help you. Now, we've spoken about what a pitch should have and what a pitch shouldn't have, right? That's just a pitch. But what you want to be doing is making a good pitch. What separates a good pitch from a bad pitch? Apart from the things that it should have, what should a pitch be like for it to be good? Memorable? Anybody else? Go up there. Engaging.
Immediately attention grabbing, something like,
Confident, attention grabbing. Anybody else? Now, what are all these words that people have given us? These aren't like technical qualities of a pitch of like, oh, it should be this long, or it should contain these things. What they've really spoken about is the effect that this pitch has on people who've heard it, right? Or the effect that you have on people that you've communicated with. What really separates a good pitch from a bad pitch is how engaging it is. And the most important thing that you can use to make your pitch engaging is a narrative. A narrative is a really important tool that will help change the way you present your ideas. You have a problem, you have a solution, which is really amazing. You have some technical details about how you're going to work on this, how you're going to solve this problem. You have some plans. Now the best way to sell this is to come up with a narrative, come up with a story, convince people this is a really pressing issue. And the best way to do that is with a narrative and a story. And that is where I'm going to leave you. So you've learned how to identify problems, a strategy to come up with ideas, right? I really hope that all of you come out and pitch. It will be really helpful because it will help you work on the ideas that you want to work on. It will keep you motivated throughout the semester to keep doing really cool stuff. Thank you. I'll give it back to you guys.
Yo, I'm Vivek Bokia, Junior CS Astronomy. Alright, so keep these things in mind. Who can tell me what was on that previous slide? What were the 5 things you need to include in your pitch? That's it? Problem.
Why your problem?
Why are the problems? Challenges.
Skills.
Overcoming skills. Awesome. Cool. So let's make a pitch. If you went to Quad Day, please raise your hand. Awesome. If you've missed an RSO event or any tech talk of some sort, etc., or any of those flyer events already, please raise your hand. Look around. Take note. Please put your hands down. You already all know what the problem is. Now imagine an app to be named with all of UIUC's events, social or corporate, all hosted on campus in one app. So here's a mock-up of what it would look like. Each list item would be a different event. So for instance, on the top you would see CS 196 Lecture 1 or Intro to Course. CBO 1404, 7 to blah, blah, then a picture of like the course logo. Then after that, maybe Capital One Tech Talk, September 2nd, CBO 2405, 6 p.m., whatever. Come learn about internships, opportunities, research, free food, etc. How many of you would use this app if it exists already? So we have a user base. So this is a tangible problem, and we can do something about it. Great. Some of the features it would have would be, obviously, one, display events. You should be able to filter by type of event. So imagine, let's say you missed your dining hall time because you slept in. Oh no, you're hungry. But wait, you open the app, you filter by food. There's a tech talk happening right now with food. Or if you're really interested in some RSO like basket weaving, you can look it up, basket weaving UIUC. Oh, there's an event tomorrow, cool, I'll go. Another feature, filter by location. If you're on main quad and you have nothing to do and it's 6 p.m., you can open the app. Events today, main quad, maybe there'll be one, maybe there won't. Who knows? We'll have to build the app. Search events by RSO, of course. And then you should be able to add reminders for events directly to whatever calendar of your choice. Because those little flyers take time to print, take time to hand out to individual people. All of those people have to then, if they do commit, manually enter it in their calendar. This is wasting a lot of time on a huge scale. If one person entered all the details in one database, that's all it has to take for everybody to see it. And then all it would be is like a one-click ad. Boom, so much time saved on a large scale. So this is the pitch, but of the 5 things, what is it missing? Skills. So what are some skills you think we should talk about if we were pitching this to someone?
Back-end development.
Well, you're an organized person. You can keep track of things.
What?
Someone in this project should be a very organized person who can keep track of a lot of things.
So like a project manager. For sure.
iOS development?
Yeah, web development. We need mobile development. Yeah, we can do web development too. Cool.
SQL.
If we want to use SQL, we can figure out the stack later. Marketing, we need a marketing skill to go and sell the idea to investors if you need money for it. People good at design and advertising if you want to advertise for it. People who are good with data and can make surveys to collect initial feedback for beta and alpha testers. This will help you build better apps and retain more users. What else are we missing in the pitch?
Possible problems, i.e. nobody's going to actually know how to register their events to it.
So that's a valid problem. Let's say the app's out there and I own an RSO and I want to add an event, but I have no idea how. We could have someone put a tutorial on it.
Other potential solutions already exist. There's already a bad website.
So there are already websites and solutions that exist that aren't popular. We can look at those, figure out why they aren't working, and do the exact opposite in our tool. Anything else? Potential for growth. We could scale to other schools, for sure. Troubleshooting, etc. So as you can see, with just a simple pitch, we've already come up with a tiny narrative. No title, no punchline, but a user base, people who have the problem, and problems we can approach if we decide to build that. Thanks.
Alright, so just to let you guys know, this guy walked in here at 6:30 and he said, I want to do an example pitch. I was like, okay, do an example pitch. So another round of applause, I guess, for just so you guys know, these are the kind of people, living memes that we have on core staff. If you want to work with these guys and learn from them, it's a nice thing. But more about that later. There's something else that we need to.
All right, so if you are interested in learning more and you want to access some of the course materials, these are some of the links that we have. So our course webpage, we have Slack, so definitely join the Slack with this link. We have Piazza, and we're going to post all of these links on Piazza, so you can easily just click on them and go do this stuff. So join the Slack so you can keep up with news, and eventually you'll have your projects on there too. And then you can check out the syllabus for more specifics on grading and an outline of what the course is about and how things are going to run. And then we have a link to relate, which is not relevant this week, but homework will start next week. So that's definitely a link you want to keep around. That will link you to your homework in the future. Okay, so now we're going to do something a little different. So we will have staff walk around and hand out pieces of paper. What we want you to do is write down what you hope to get out of this class, or an idea that you have, or both, anything like that, and then you're going to make a paper airplane out of it. So if you don't know how to make one, ask a neighbor. We can also help you.
If you guys made it to CS in Illinois and don't know how to make a paper airplane, I don't know what to tell you. Just figure out, oh, she just said she doesn't know how to make it.
Quick, go! No, it's open right now. We're all ready. What? Here's a laptop. Yeah, there's put him on that computer. Alright. Yo.
Right now, never mind.
Sit down. Hi, you ready? Oh yeah, I just like coded behind the wall. Are we gonna still wait? Or are they still more? It's on the yeah, there's a bunch of it's like it's on the main floor. It's like when you have it's called like the settings there's a back it's like the second heads and part of it's behind the pillow. The ones that's behind the I thought it was ready I know, yeah. Jeff Lyman, call him Challenge. No, he didn't act like, yo, Challenge! Challenge! My language is everyone else is. How do they cover okay, so you hold some half? Hot style? Oh yeah. Get more time. Oh wait. What do you have? I told you, did everyone else take it? Oh, you're making it better. Do I make them the same way?
Alright, are you guys good? Raise your hand if you need more time. Okay, we'll give you 2 more minutes.
I'm following his instructions. Okay, so really? Wait, what did you do? Back up. No, we only have 2 more minutes. No, back up. What? I lost it. I don't know what to do. Just hold it again. Oh, this way? Okay. Hold it down the middle. Okay, let's do after that. Again? Yeah. How many times are you folding this thing? So many times it takes. Every time I do this. for all you FYK ads. Oh, you went to that? They're like, I didn't log in. Alright, this is my airplane. Yeah. What do I do after this?
Alright, now are we good? Yes? Alright, why do you guys think we had you do this? Oh yeah, obviously to take a picture, but the real reason is at CS196, we want to help you have your ideas take flight. So, on the count of 3, you can throw these out to our core staff members and little values. 1, 2, 3, do it. Alright, first up. Alright, let's act our age and let's act as the responsible adults here. Alright, thank you so much. I guess there's one more thing that we need to do before we let you guys go, and that is let's do something with this number. Who can tell me what this number is? Exactly. We haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Go ahead, sign up for this class as you would any normal class. It should be open now. I know a few of you figured out how to do it somehow, but it's open now. You can sign up. If it's full, let us know and we can open more seats up. You hopefully shouldn't have a problem. Let us know if you don't know how to sign up for this. We can help. Cool. You can also come down if you have questions. We'll stick around for a while.
I ain't about to get like